Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. According to The Telegraph, Manchester United will look to appoint an interim manager as soon as possible from a 5-man short list featuring Ralph Rangnick, Ernesto Valverde, Lucien Favre, Rudi Garcia and Paulo Fonseca has been mentioned. So reflecting on that, Mauricio Pochettino to Manchester United is off. Manchester United will probably have to wait for Mauricio Pochettino until the end of the season. It said yesterday that PSG rejected Manchester United's move to appoint Mauricio Pochettino. Prior to PSG's game against City, Pochettino said he's happy at PSG and won't let the Man United rumours distract him. Earlier on this week, he said Mauricio Pochettino was interested in the Manchester United job and he was prepared to quit PSG to become Manchester United manager now. The Manchester Evening News said earlier on this week that Man United are confident of appointing Pochettino as their next permanent manager, and Man United agreed to pay the $10 million compensation fee for Pochettino. Man United should have got Pochettino after the club sacked Mourinho, but the club decided to go with Solskjaer instead. I reckon Pochettino would be the right manager for Manchester United. He is proven in the Premier League. Before, he endured a 5.5-year tenure with Tottenham. He nearly won the Premier League with Tottenham, and he got Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final back in 2018. Analysing the vast majority of his tenure at Tottenham were competing in and out of the top 4. And before he managed Southampton, he wasn't at Southampton long, but he still managed to guide Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. So they're the clubs he's managed in the Premier League so far. And before, he managed Espanyol. Pochettino has a full season left on his PSG contract. But I do think he is a good manager, even though he hasn't really won anything. Zinedine Zidane, he was linked with a managerial role at Man United, but it said not so long ago that Zidane is not interested in taking over at Manchester United. He doesn't feel ready for the Premier League at the moment. Zidane is wanted by PSG, but Zidane is not sure if he wants to go to PSG. That's what's been blocking Mauricio Pochettino becoming Man United manager. There's a lot of United fans that wanted Zidane at Manchester United. Zidane is managerless. He left Real Madrid last summer. He won quite a lot of trophies at Real Madrid, so reflecting on that, he's got a good pedigree behind him. he's not managed in the Premier League, Zidane. So like I said, it would have been good for him to come and experience the Premier League. I thought Zidane's close relationships with Ronaldo and Varane could have persuaded him to join. And earlier on in the season, there was reports saying that Zidane was interested in the Man United job, but Zidane's wife wasn't attracted to the idea of living in Manchester. Erik ten Hag, he's been spoken about a lot. I presume there's a lot of United fans that would take Erik ten Hag. He's done a really good job at Ajax. He's won some trophies with them. And I like the way he develops young players, and he's been Ajax manager for 4 years. Brendan Rodgers, he's been spoken about a lot, but I've disregarded Brendan Rodgers coming to Man United. Because not so long ago, Rodgers dismissed links to the Man United job, and he said, "I'm proud to be at Leicester." Rodgers has been contacted by Man United. The other week, Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire, so that stirred some suggestions up, and at that point, it said Rodgers was the favourite to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But like I say, Man United now won't be getting a permanent manager until the end of the season. Who do you think we're going to get in as interim manager? I think it could be either Ralf Rangnick or Ernesto Valverde. Man United have obviously interviewed interim candidates. I give you the news on Ernesto Valverde yesterday. Reports said that Manchester United have held talks with Ernesto Valverde about taking over as the interim manager. He's a good shout out, Valverde. He has been managerless for almost 2 years. His last managerial role was Barcelona, and at Barcelona he won back-to-back La Liga titles. He also won the Copa del Rey. He was sacked by Barcelona back in January 2020. He's managed Olympiacos before, and he won titles in Greece. He had 2 spells at Olympiacos. Before as well, he managed Atletico Bilbao, and he won a trophy with them. So he's got a pretty good pedigree behind him. At the moment, Michael Carrick is the interim manager. He's managed 1 game so far, and he won his first game as the interim manager because recently Manchester United beat Villarreal 2-0. And Michael Carrick deserved a lot of credit because I thought his game plan was correct and his substitutions were correct. You know, reflecting on the win against Villarreal, Manchester United have qualified for the last 16 of the Champions League with still 1 game to spare in the group stage. Michael Carrick got announced as the interim manager after the club sacked Solskjaer last Sunday morning. Manchester United sacked Solskjaer following the 4-1 defeat to Watford last Saturday. As you all know, Solskjaer did a farewell interview. He got emotional in that farewell interview. Obviously, when the club sacked Solskjaer, they released a statement. I don't think the club really wanted to sack Solskjaer, but there was left with no choice in the end. Despite Solskjaer getting sacked last Sunday morning, all Manchester United fans still adore Solskjaer, reflecting on what he's done for the club. Solskjaer was a great player for Man United. He endured 11 years as a player. He flourished under Sir Alex Ferguson's guidance. He won a lot of trophies as a United player, did Solskjaer, so he had a proven pedigree as a player, but unfortunately has no proven pedigree as a manager. The club Solskjaer has managed in his managerial career, of course, he managed Manchester United's reserve team for a couple of years. Obviously, he managed Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was terrible. He only enjoyed a short tenure with Cardiff. He got sacked from Cardiff because he got Cardiff relegated. Solskjaer also managed Molde. He enjoyed 2 spells at Molde. I think he won a few Norwegian titles with them. And of course, he managed Manchester United's senior squad. But reflecting now on Solskjaer was United manager, he did gain some managerial experience and he learned a few different things on the job. But there's still plenty of things Ollie's got to learn because he is still young. You know, Solskjaer is a legend of the club and he always will be a legend of the club. Manchester United paid Solskjaer around £7.5 million. Because last summer he did sign a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. And Manchester United should have never given him that contract. Solskjaer was Manchester United manager for almost 3 years. I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. But the reason he lasted as long as he did is because he's a legend of the club. Disregarding that, I think he'd have been sacked a long time ago. Manchester United should have sacked Solskjaer after the humiliation to Liverpool. If we'd have sacked him after that game, I can assure Man United would have got Antonio Conte. Solskjaer was the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson, because since Ferguson, Man United have sacked David Moyes, sacked Louis van Gaal, sacked Jose Mourinho, and of course last Sunday morning sacked Solskjaer. And Man United are not even really known as a sacking football club, because it did mention that we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers. But I did feel for Solskjaer, because he got the vast majority of the blame. And yes, reflecting on the poor performances in the last couple of months under the Solskjaer era, yes, some of the blame did stem from Solskjaer. His tactics and his team selections were questioned a lot, but not all of the blame stemmed from Solskjaer. There was also players that had to take responsibility for those poor performances as well. As you saw in the 4-1 defeat to Watford, Solskjaer was getting abused by some United fans. And obviously Bruno Fernandes defended Solskjaer, didn't he? But this season was Ollie's 3rd full season, wasn't it? And I did say at the start of this season that this season was always going to be massive for him. And of course the pressure was on him at the start of this season when he was United manager, reflecting on the summer transfer window we had this year, because we enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year, made 4 signings. 3 of the 4 signings were major signings, and Man United spent around £141 million in this year's summer transfer window. You know, when Solskjaer was United manager, he did not win a trophy, and he was never capable of winning trophies as manager. Manchester United have not won a trophy since 2017. But the expectations were far too high for Ole to exceed when he was United manager, and he was in a position that he shouldn't have really been in. Solskjaer, got very good backing from the board when he was United manager. The board backed him well in this year's summer transfer window. The Glazers backed him, Ed Woodward backed him, John Murtaugh, our director of football, backed him, and Darren Fletcher backed him. Ollie did enjoy like 5 transfer windows when he was United manager. He did sign 14 players, and Man United spent over £400 million under Solskjaer. Ollie also got rid of a lot of players when he was United manager. He loaned players out and he got rid of players permanently. I liked the way he developed to youth though, Ollie, when he was United manager. In his first full season, got us to 3 semi-finals and got us a 3rd place finish. In his second full season, got us to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. He got us to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, and he got us to the Europa League final last season. That was his first major final when he was United manager, but unfortunately we didn't win it, and last season got us a 2nd place finish. Don't forget as well, when we had Solskjaer, Man United went on a 29-game unbeaten run away from home in the Premier League. We was actually better away from home under Solskjaer than we was at home, surprisingly enough. Solskjaer did get appointed in as the caretaker manager back in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. Ole did well in that 3-month period as the caretaker manager. He won nearly every game. So reflecting on that, the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. So there you go. Manchester United have got very, very good players. Look who we've got. We've got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo did score in the 2-0 win against Villarreal. It was a lovely chip over the keeper, but Ronaldo's goal came from a poor clearance from the Villarreal goalkeeper. Ronaldo also had a chance in the first half against Villarreal. It was a header. The Villarreal goalkeeper saved it, and he also had another good chance in the second half from a tight angle, just went wide. You've got Mason Greenwood, that's a talented player. Greenwood's not available at the moment. Greenwood is out with COVID. You've got Marcus Rashford, that's also a talented player as well. Credit to Rashford, I thought he made an impact when he came on against Villarreal. Edinson Cavani, he's also a good player as well. Cavani's not available at the moment. He's out with injury until December. Cavani had an injury earlier on this season. You've got Bruno Fernandes, that's also a very, very good player. One of the best signings we've made since Ferguson retired. You've got Jadon Sancho, that is good. Has been poor in the vast majority of his games for Man United so far, but I thought Sancho was our best player against Villarreal recently. His best game so far for Man United. We saw Sancho get his first goal for the club. He should have had another goal because he had another good chance from close range, produced a good save from the Villarreal goalkeeper. But I thought against Villarreal, Sancho's movement was good. He got into good positions, and every time he had the ball, he looked threatening. Sancho, we couldn't get the best out of him under Solskjaer, but hopefully from now on, we're going to start to get the best out of him. I said he'll do well at Man United, providing that he's used correctly. You've got Donny van der Beek, that's also a good player as well, but obviously when we had Solskjaer, Van der Beek wasn't getting enough opportunities. I'm hopeful from now that he will get the opportunities that he's been demanding. Van der Beek did start in that number 10 ahead of Fernandes against Villarreal, and Van der Beek had a good game. He kept the ball well, got in some good positions, and he made some nice touches. Van der Beek came on in the 4-1 defeat to Watford and made an instant impact. He scored. That was his second goal for the club. So this just proves how good Van der Beek is. You've also got Paul Pogba. That's another good player. He's not only a good player, he's an imperative player as well. Pogba is missing the rest of 2021. Because Pogba's got a thigh injury. He suffered the thigh injury in France training earlier on in the season. It said earlier on this season that Man United are prepared to sell Paul Pogba in the January transfer window. Well, it makes sense to cash in for him in January rather than let him go on a free next summer. Pogba may actually never play for the club again. And you've got Luke Shaw. That's a good left back overall, but Luke Shaw has certainly not proven how good he can be so far this season. Luke Shaw's been terrible this season, and I'm shocked in that aspect because last season he was superb. Where's the Luke Shaw from last season? And by the way, Shaw's got a head injury at the moment. He didn't play any part against Villarreal. Obviously, Tellez started ahead of him. I'm not too sure if Shaw's going to be back for the game against Chelsea this Sunday. I reckon that Shaw's had a good career at Man United though, despite the injuries he has had. Shaw's been at Manchester United for 7.5 years, so he's been a long-serving player, and he's been our first choice left back for a while, despite the arrival of Tellez. Shaw's got under 2 years left on his contract. Tellez, he's another good left back as well, but Tellez doesn't really get in the team, does he? Tellez only plays when Shaw's not available. And credit to Tellez, he put a good performance out against Villarreal recently. I thought defensively he was good. He showed some good attacking intent and he put some good crosses into the box. Earlier on this season, Tellez was out with injury. The reason we brought Tellez in was to provide competition for Shaw. We got him for around 15.4 million from Porto, with add-ons included. I think just over 13 million up front was paid. And you've also got Harry Maguire. That can be a good centre-half, but he hasn't really proven how good he can be at Manchester United because he's been inconsistent in a lot of games for Manchester United. Maguire's been terrible this season, and he's been even worse since he came back from that calf injury. Maguire had ligament damage in his ankle towards the end of last season. Maguire won't be available for the Chelsea game because he's suspended. I think he's got a 3-match ban. Maguire got sent off in the 4-1 defeat to Watford, didn't he? Man United overpaid for Harry Maguire, got him for 80 million, so he's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment and the second most expensive signing at the club. You've got Eric Bailly, that's a good centre-half, but Bailly doesn't get regular game time, does he? He's only made, 3 appearances this season. Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago, obviously with the signing of Varane in the summer transfer window. And obviously Lindelof's being preferred to Bailly. Don't ask me why, because Bailly's a far superior centre-half to Lindelof. Bailly will be in contention to play this Sunday against Chelsea, because like I said, Maguire's suspended, and plus Varane is out with injury. He's injury prone, is Bailly. That is a big concern. Towards the end of last season, he signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. And you've got Varane. That's a very good centre-half as well. But he's already endured 2 injuries since he signed for the club. You know, he's out with a hamstring injury at the moment. I think he's out for another 2 to 3 weeks. And earlier on this season, Varane had a groin injury, and he was out with that groin injury for a few weeks, wasn't he? But yeah, before he got these injuries, you know, Varane's done well in some games for Man United, but there's been a few games where he's looked off the pace as well. You've got Pasaka, that's a good right back. Defensively, I think he's very good. But the attacking side of his game is not so good, and there is aspects of his game that have to improve. But despite that, he is one of the best right backs we've had since Gary Neville. Pasaka recently played against Villarreal, and he put a good performance out. You know, he kept Danjuma at bay. And I thought, you know, he made some good blocks and some good interceptions. He has had some good games this season, but he's had some poor games as well. And, you know, you've got De Gea. That's a very, very good goalkeeper. De Gea is one of the best in the world. I've got to give him credit. He's done really, really well so far this season. De Gea did well against Villarreal recently. You know, he made some fantastic saves. I think he denied Trigueros on 2 occasions. And he also made a good save to deny Gomez. De Gea did well in our last league game against Watford, despite us losing 4-1, because De Gea saved 2 penalties, and he also made some other good saves in the game. You know, this season is De Gea's 11th season at Man United. He has been a long servant. He's been with us since the Ferguson era. You know, he's got under 2 years left on his contract, De Gea, and he receives £375,000 a week. You know, De Gea has won everything domestically at the football club, and he's made over 500 appearances for Man United in all competitions. You know, last summer, De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back, because last summer De Gea decided to cut short his holiday by 2 weeks to fight for the starting place, and De Gea did say that he was determined to fight for his Man United future. So there you go, good players at United. But obviously we weren't getting the best out of the players in the last 2 or 3 months of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure. Because obviously there were a team of individuals that weren't actually playing as a team, were they? And that was the problem. And of course, they weren't playing for Solskjaer anyway. Man United are going to offload players next year. You know, I think Martial's going next year. I think Mata's going next year. I think Cavani's going next year. Lingard, it looks like he's going next year, because the other week it said Jesse Lingard's future at Man United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. His current contract at Man United expires next summer. Well, not so long ago it said Lingard could leave for just £10 million. I think Van de Beek could still be going next year. But there again, if he gets his chances from now on, it may persuade him to change his mind. But the other week, Van de Beek did confirm that he will be leaving Man United in January. Like I said, good chance Pogba will leave next year. I think Matic could be going next year. Dalot, I think he's going next year, because he doesn't really get in the team. He's our backup right back to Pasaka. I think Jones and Bailly will both be going next year. Tellez could be going next year, and Dean Henderson, of course, wants to go out on loan. You know, Henderson doesn't get in goal now because De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot, like I mentioned. Later on today, I will be giving you my predicted 11 for Man United's game against Chelsea, but there'll be also other videos coming up. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.